thank Coach Smart for the opportunity to be able to come in here and talk to you guys, but I also want to thank him for letting me be here. It's going on my 11th season now at Georgia, so very excited about that. And also I want to recognize my staff. I can't do the job I do without my staff, and so Coach LB Lonnie Brown, Coach Brandon Gilbert, Coach Eddie King, and Coach DeMonte Hagler. And then lastly, we have a great sports performance department, so it's not just us and strength conditioning. We have our nutrition, our sports medicine, our sports science, and our mental health all do a really good job of working with our athletes. So that's
all
it.
right, thank you. We'll start with questions.
Scott, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. You mentioned being here as long as you have. I want to ask you, there's this freaks list that came out this week from the top 100 players in college football. Who are the top freaks on your team now, and during your time with Kirby, who have been the top freaks and why?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Elijah Griffin and London Humphreys made that list, and exceptional athletes, strong, powerful, and fast. And we had a lot of guys on our team that could make the list, but we don't do so much a ton of testing anymore with our guys. I think the game of football has changed, and so the 1 rep max testing that I might have done in my first year of coaching, we don't do it now. But just kind of going on your question, Nick Chubb stands out as a guy that was on that. Ben Cleveland was really strong. But we've had a number of guys throughout my time that could make that list easily. But just the 1 rep max testing to get on that list, we don't do it as much anymore. So very proud of the guys that are there.
Hey, Coach, obviously, you guys have had some freshmen coming in and making media impacts over the last couple of years. Why do you think that's happened? Elijah, potentially Zaki, to some of these guys that are coming from these bigger programs, or does it matter to you where they come from?
No, it doesn't matter where they come, but I'll give a shout out to high school strength coaches. I think the high school programs have gotten better, and I think by them getting better, the talent that we get in here, they're ready to go. The lifting programs in high school were a lot more complex and they do a lot better with their players than 20 years ago. And so it's nice to get guys that are capable of be able to come in here and being strong and powerful and fast right away. We still may have to tweak some things with them, but credit to high school coaches.
Yeah, we've heard a lot about the skull sessions and players figuring out their why, all that kind of stuff. How does that play into what the strength program does, and how does that push guys through the team runs, the summer conditioning, all that kind of stuff? How have you seen that affect your program over the last couple of years?
Oh, I mean, it's a huge difference. I think that the guys need to know we care about them. The guys need to know we know about them. And when you're, in 95-degree weather in the summer and we're screaming and yelling at them, knowing a young man's why, or flipping the page and them knowing our why, and knowing why we're encouraging and why we're pushing them, and us knowing what makes them click, just gives you another motivational tactic to help push them forward. And I think our skull sessions have really opened the door for us to be able to know more about our team, to be more connected as a team, and to know our players more than just a player, because they're more than just a player. They're a young man growing, and if we can be supportive and push them and know things about them that make them click, we want to do that and know that.
Coach, spring of 2025, Kirby came in here and was talking about guys being ready to work. It was a really young team. A lot of these guys are still with the team. If you could talk about the growth from that spring of 2025 when Coach came in here and was lighting everybody's fire. And then the second part of the question, I was one of the people at the practice / scrimmage Sunday. He must have said 4 or 5 times, Scott Sinclair, this guy. Did guys actually have to run extra after that 2-hour workout? Because that looked pretty intense out there.
I think the first part of your question, we're working all the time. So, there's not an off day, off week for us. I think strength conditioning in college is year round. I think that's the big difference in high school. So from spring of 25 to spring of 26, it's spring, summer, and fall. And it's funny that a lot of people, what are you doing this summer? Well, we're working, because the summer's our busy time. That's when we're working. So we're always going to push the guys and try to get better. And then, Coach Smart is tough. And I just say when you can't fulfill your practice quote or your practice reps, and sometimes certain guys may not be in the shape that we need them to be in yet, then we're going to do our job and try to get them in the best shape we can be. It's hard for us to condition guys to get them in football shape. The best way to get in football shape is to play football. And so we can get them to a point to get them ready to go for camp, but sometimes certain guys may need a little bit more extra and a little bit more push. So sometimes we may need to do what we need to do.
Yes, Scott, I wanted to ask you about the way that Dwight Phillips has built up his body in his time at Georgia. Just what sort of stood out to you about the work he's put in really the past 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I just asked one of our guys. We do before and after pictures, and we don't share them, but we keep them ourselves. And I just showed Dwight the other day a picture of when he first got here until now, and just the buy-in. You have to have buy-in, and I think he's bought into the program. He's bought into what we do. Not only from the strength part, but the nutritional side, and taking care of his body. Definitely gotten stronger, and I think for Dwight, just putting some extra pounds, some extra padding, some extra muscle on him, I think is going to help him this year.
You mentioned that one rep max testing is not as in vogue as before. I'm curious if there's anything particular that's replaced it. I guess to that end, last year, 2 years, what have been maybe the biggest changes in your field?
We actually do our power clean test, and we go up to 92%. So we'll do 92% of their estimated 1 rep max. It's safer. Again, we're training football players. We're not putting, a platform or a squat rack on the 50-yard line, and whoever squats the most wins the game. And so for our power clean, we do 92%. We'll let them go 1 or 2 reps. When we do a bench and a squat test for us, we go 85%, and we go 3 sets of 2, but we track their power output. So what we want to see is, if Dwight Phillips back squatted or front squatted, just throwing numbers out, 350, and his power output was 720. Next time we test that, we'd love to see 375, and his power output be 900. We want explosive, powerful football players, and not just and nothing wrong with what everybody does. It just works for us, and it keeps us safe. But we're also be able to tell if the guys are getting stronger and faster and more explosive. I think the science part within the last 5 to 10 years has changed of what we do, from our GPS information to our sports science department, and it just gives us another eye for us to be able to see what we see, and for it to be able to tell us that that's accurate or not. It also helps us. Back in the day, you guys, everybody went out and did 110s, and they may still do that. 110s, you go out and for your bigs, your combo and skill, they're running 110s. Well, when you take your GPS information and you look at it, some of the big guys aren't running the same distances as your skill or your combo guys, and so we like to run them specific to what they're going to do in a practice or in a game. I think it helps them get better and helps them be able to be better at their position.
Yeah, Kirby's talked about how his team now, because of the way the sport has changed, is always going to be young. And I'm wondering, with always having a young team, how has that changed what you do to try and get guys ready as quick as you can, knowing that you're not going to be able to have guys in your program for 3-4 years that are able to make the gains that you see in the weight room?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to get moving quick, because, I would say a lot of our guys coming in as freshmen play too. And so, 15 years ago, you had a developmental group and almost every guy was redshirt, and you were lifting them multiple times a week. Now that's not always the case. I will say our freshmen that all come in still lift extra during the week in season than our normal players, and so trying to pick up an extra day there helps. Obviously, coming from good football high school programs helps when they come in. I guess the third thing I'd say is we want them to have good technique, but I'm not going to spend all day long on technique. I've got to get them stronger. I've got to push them. I've got to get them mentally tough, because you guys have all seen practice, and it's a hard practice. And so if I don't get them ready for that, or at least put them in situations that they feel uncomfortable and learn how to be comfortable in them, they can't handle what coach is going to throw at them. And so doing the best we can with the limited time we got, because time is crucial. And, you get that's why I think mid-years are so important. And it helps your program out when you get freshmen coming in January, as opposed to coming in 1st of June. It gives you 4 or 5 months extra to be able to work with them.
Coach Sinclair, I think this time last year we learned about the Platinum Club. Obviously, Michael Morris, Oscar Delp kind of joined there. Are there any guys this offseason that joined the club, or any guys you expect to soon join that club?
No, not this year, and it only because we didn't use, like, I like to change our workouts up. Our workouts change every summer. So what we did last summer, it's going to be slightly different this summer, and we just didn't put a big emphasis on 1 rep or 2 rep heavy dumbbells this off season. We did a little bit more bar stuff, and we did some more dumbbell things that weren't specific to being able to get in that platinum club. I would suspect we probably have 2 to 3 guys that could do it right now if we were to program that in. We just didn't program it in.
SEC Media Days, we heard Gunnar probably 3 or 4 different times mention his body and how he wants to hit a specific weight because he lost so much weight last year and wanted to have his body fat and all of that. What kind of dedication to his body this offseason did you see from Gunnar, and what did he learn last year playing in all of those SEC games and losing weight?
I think he learned he's got to stay strong throughout the season, and he's got to protect his body and keep his strength. He did a really good job this summer of working on the main things, but also some specific things that will help him as a quarterback. And we actually talked about a month ago of him getting an extra day in season this year to make sure he maintains what he's built over the summer. And so I think he's got a good plan. We've got a good plan for him this season coming up, and so it's exciting to be able to watch what he's going to do.
Going back to your school sessions, what's a moment from one of those that stood out to you?
Oh. Well, I can't tell you everything because it's kind of like our school session, it's just us. I would just say, when you get the chance to learn more about a young man on your team than just his name and where he's from. Maybe it's a hardship, maybe it's something exciting that happened to him, maybe he lived somewhere nobody knew, like just different things where you learn more about a person than just what position they play, where their hometown is, and how fast they run. And so just diving deep into that, I think has been a really fun part of our school sessions, and just listen to the guys open up, because we see them in the weight room and we see them on the practice field, but seeing them in a small room and just talking and learning about their why and their family and their parents and things like that, I think it just it builds a connection that's different.
Yeah, we've heard Kirby talk about the need for this team to be its best at the end of the season, and for a strength coach who's now dealing with a longer season than say 5 years ago. What does that look like for you to get this team physically to be its best at the end of the year?
I think that's hard. I think that's the line that's very tough, because you got to push guys, but you also got to make sure you get guys to the race on Saturday. And so load management is a big word we use, and making sure that they can be ready to go and handle the load for a Saturday. A lot of our lifting in season, I like to call it undulating. We're going up and down because certain times of the year they need a break. Certain times of the year within our program, we're going to give them deload weeks to make sure they're at their best. Again, going back to the sports science question, there's 3 or 4 different things we use from a sports science standpoint to test them weekly to see where their central nervous system is, to see if they are responding and they're recuperating, or if they need a little bit of time. And so just looking at that information, and I'll also always go back to just wisdom in a coach's eye. It's my 27th year doing this. And so when you see guys when they need a break and when they don't. And so trying to just be smart with the way we're training them, because you want to be able to get to December and January, and you want to be explosive and powerful and fast there just as much or more than you want to in August and September.
Coach, got a 2-parter for you. The first one is from this freshman class. Do you remember anyone that first day of workouts that was just like, oh my gosh, he's got a ways to go that has, kind of turned that corner in that first 6 months on campus? The second part is just, you've been in this a long time. How has this team kind of looked as far as what are the markers you look for when you say, oh, that team has a chance to be really special and coming out of the off-season program?
I hate to give names, so I'm just going to say we probably had 2 or 3 freshmen that I was like, holy crap, we got to break them now. Like we got to get them. We got ways to go, and we probably had 2 or 3 that I'm like, good gosh, they're going to help us this year. And so And that's okay. You know, you're going to work with the ones that are ready to go, but you're going to work with the ones that need to be pushed and need to be put in those uncomfortable situations. You know, you're going to work with all of them the same. But I think as a group of the freshman class, I'm really excited about them. I think they came in ready to go. And I had one for the other question. What was the other one? Gosh, I just forgot it.
Just what if the markets?
Yeah. I had an example for you. I'm not going to give the players' names. But so when you are late for a workout for us, you have to climb. We have big stairs in our weight room, and you have to climb the stairs with a 45-pound plate in each hand and an 80-pound weight vest. Because that's being disciplined. That's being accountable. All right? If you can't be on time for a workout, you're liable to not be on time or be in your right gap on the field. So it all ties in. We had two players that didn't want to do it, and I had two, I'll just say they were on the defensive side of the ball, go over and say, what's going on? And I told them the two players, they're late, they got to get their punishment. Coach, I'll handle it. And so I was able to go and be done, and I went back to the office. Those two players stayed there to make sure those other two players did every single rep they were supposed to do. And so I say that as an example. When you got a player-driven team and not just coach-driven team, that's one thing that I look at to say, all right, we got a chance. And I think we've got some good guys that are stepping up, and it matters to them. Care factor, we heard scouts talk about the other day, the care factor. I think some of our players have care factor. And I think that, along with just being leaders and not being afraid to call guys out when they're not doing what is right. If you see those kind of things, I think that is definitely trend and gives you hope and confidence in what we got.
We'll wrap up with Anthony Dasher.
Coach, this is a very off-topic question to you and end this thing. I'm a pro wrestling fan. I remember going to a show in Watsonville 9 months ago. You got to get up in the ring.
I did.
And run some drills and kind of do some things with the guys up there. Kind of wonder, how was that for you? Is there a second career in line for us?
Hey, if I wasn't doing this, I'd be a pro wrestler. I love it. I mean, I've probably been to 80 or 90 wrestling matches in my life. I remember one year I was 13, and my Christmas present was to get Starrcade tickets in Charlotte to watch Ric Flair win the belt for the 13th time. So I'm a huge wrestling fan. Very fun to get in there and do that in the ring. So I don't know, it's good entertainment. I enjoy it, and it was fun to do. That's for sure.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.